Awareness is a strange kind of light. Not warm and comforting, but like a ceiling light that never turns off. It shows you everything. Every pause, every change in tone, every hidden problem. Even when you're tired and just want peace, it keeps watching. Most people move through life with the lights turned down. They notice what they need and that's it. But some minds don't have that switch. Their awareness is always on. And while that might sound good, it often feels like living without walls. Nothing fades, nothing gets forgotten. When you're too aware, you don't just experience moments, you watch them. You feel what's unsaid before it's spoken. You notice when something is wrong long before anyone admits it. Even in silence, your mind keeps looking, reading, and judging. Here's what most people miss. This kind of awareness isn't always a gift. Sometimes it's a mind that learned to stay alert so well, it forgot how to relax. That's where this story begins. For the overly aware mind, life is like an equation always running in the background. Every conversation becomes something to solve. You don't just hear words, you notice the pause before them. You don't just see a smile, you catch when it fades too early. You don't just read a message, you feel what wasn't written. Why did they say it that way? Why now? While others are present, your mind works behind the scenes, connecting dots, finding patterns, trying to understand the world. It's exhausting, not because it's bad, but because it never stops. Your brain treats life like a problem to solve, so you replay conversations, look for inconsistencies, and try to understand what's really happening. The irony is that you're so busy solving what life means that you rarely just live it. There's something called metacognition. It means thinking about your own thinking. For most people, this happens sometimes. For the overly aware, it's almost constant. You don't just feel sad. You notice you're sad. Then you ask why. Then you judge whether it makes sense. By the time the feeling is gone, your mind has taken it apart. Even happiness isn't safe. You feel joy and immediately step outside it, watching yourself, wondering how long it will last. It's like dancing while looking in a mirror. You perfect the steps but lose the music. You're half living, half watching. Over time, your inner life becomes like surveillance. Your thoughts are watched. Your feelings are judged. What started as self-awareness becomes self-interruption, and it feels intelligent. But the mind was never meant to be both the dancer and the critic at the same time. At some point, awareness shows you things you can't unsee. You notice that people don't always mean what they say. Kindness can come with hidden costs. Love can have conditions, not because people are bad, but because they're human. With that understanding comes quiet loss. When you see too deeply, compliments feel fake, apologies feel incomplete, promises sound uncertain. You can still appreciate things, but there's always something underneath. This is where grief begins. The grief of losing the ability to take things at face value. Once you see how people contradict themselves, how fear hides as confidence, how love and doubt exist together, you can't unsee it. You understand that most conversations are just miscommunication dressed up as agreement. That insight is isolating, because when you see behind the curtain, you know how easily everything could fall apart. That knowledge doesn't make you cynical. It makes you careful and sometimes lonely. For aware people, empathy is always on. Like a system that never sleeps. You don't just hear words, you feel the emotion behind them. You sense when someone is holding back. You notice their posture shift, their voice tighten, their eyes look away. Before anything is said, you already know something is wrong. But there's a cost. When you're always tuned into everyone else, you start carrying their feelings. A tense room makes your chest tight. A friend's hidden sadness follows you home. Someone else's discomfort stays in your body long after they leave. People see you as calm and wise. You're the one they feel safe with. But no one checks if you need understanding too. Empathy that never powers down doesn't just connect you. It teaches you to disappear. And that's when awareness starts to feel heavy. Not because you care too much, but because you're carrying more than one nervous system at a time. Hyper-awareness usually starts in childhood, not as a choice, but as protection. When emotions were unpredictable or safety meant reading subtle signals, awareness wasn't optional. It was necessary. You learned to scan the room, notice the tone, feel the mood before deciding whether to speak. You learned when to be quiet, agreeable, or invisible just enough to stay safe. Your nervous system learned this without anyone teaching you. What once kept you safe doesn't always know when to stop. As an adult, your life might be calm, but your system still scans for danger. That's why awareness comes with exhaustion. You're tired because your nervous system never learned it could rest. Understanding this changes everything. It replaces judgment with compassion. You weren't born overly aware. You became this way because paying attention once mattered. Healing means teaching your system that the danger has passed. The solution isn't seeing less. It's carrying less. Not every signal needs action. Not every insight needs to be explored. This is where awareness becomes gentler. Learn to notice without absorbing. Recognize without reacting. Let things pass through instead of holding them tight. Some silences are just silence. Some feelings don't need fixing. Some insights don't need to be shared. This isn't about not caring. It's about balance. Awareness without boundaries causes suffering. Awareness with boundaries becomes clarity. When you stop treating every thought as urgent, your nervous system relaxes. Your body learns that noticing doesn't mean danger. Your mind learns it doesn't have to stay ahead to be safe. You begin to experience moments without stepping outside them. You laugh without analyzing. You feel without translating. You listen without preparing a response. You don't lose your depth this way. You reclaim your presence. Awareness doesn't need to disappear. It needs to soften. When acceptance enters, awareness stops feeling like a harsh light and starts feeling like warmth. You notice deeply, but don't cling. You feel intensely, but let emotions move through. You understand people without losing yourself. Presence replaces constant predicting. Curiosity replaces fear, and something quiet happens. Life becomes lighter, not because it's simpler, but because you're no longer carrying it all alone. If this felt familiar, you're not alone. If you found value here, consider subscribing so we can continue these conversations together.